October 23, 1958. Friedberg, West Germany. 3rd Armored Division. Ray Barracks. Elvis Aaron Presley stands in the communications office. Green military fatigues. Hands trembling. Not from cold, from fear. The officer behind the desk looks up. Need to send a telegram, Private? Elvis nods, his voice barely a whisper. Yes, sir. To Memphis. Urgent. The officer slides a form across the desk. Write it out. Keep it brief. Every word costs money. Elvis picks up the pen. Standard issue. Black ink. His hand hovers over the paper. 5 seconds pass. 10. The officer clears his throat. Everything all right, Presley? Elvis doesn't answer. He begins to write. 3 sentences. 42 words total. Words he's never said out loud. Words that will disappear for 60 years. What happens in the next 18 minutes will reveal a secret Elvis kept from the world, a confession he couldn't speak, only write. Here is the story. Ray Barracks sits on the edge of Friedberg. Gray concrete buildings, barbed wire fences, cold October wind cuts through the base. Elvis has been here for 3 weeks, away from Memphis, away from Graceland, away from everything he knows. The Army stripped away Elvis the Star, made him Private Presley. Serial number 533107661. Just another soldier. But inside, he's still Elvis, still afraid, still a son. He finishes writing the telegram, folds the paper once, slides it back across the desk. The officer reads it. His expression changes, from routine to surprise, then to something softer. Understanding, maybe. Or pity. You sure you want to send this, son? Elvis meets his eyes. I have to. The officer nods slowly, takes the telegram, begins typing it into the machine. The teletype clacks, each letter punched into tape, mechanical, final. The message will travel through cables, under the Atlantic Ocean, across thousands of miles, to reach one man, Vernon Elvis Presley, Graceland, Memphis, Tennessee. Quick thought. Have you ever written something you couldn't say out loud? Drop a comment. The telegram is sent at 15:47 local time, 9:47 a.m. in Memphis. It will arrive at Graceland by evening, but Vernon Presley will never see it. Not that day, not ever. The telegram will vanish, for 60 years, hidden inside a wall, waiting. To understand this telegram, you need to understand Vernon. Vernon Elvis Presley, born April 10, 1916, Fulton, Mississippi, the son of sharecroppers, dirt poor, always struggling, always afraid. Vernon married Gladys Love Smith in 1933. He was 17, she was 21. They had nothing, just each other, and dreams. On January 8, 1935, Gladys gave birth to twin boys, Jesse Garin Presley, stillborn, and Elvis Aaron Presley, alive, screaming, fighting. Vernon buried Jesse in an unmarked grave. Couldn't afford a headstone. That failure haunted him forever. One son dead, one son living. The pressure to protect Elvis became everything. Vernon worked construction, drove trucks, did anything for money, but it was never enough. In 1938, Vernon made a mistake, a desperate mistake. He altered a check, changed the amount. $4 to $14, $10 he didn't have, $10 he needed. The law caught him. Vernon was arrested, convicted of forgery, sentenced to 3 years at Parchman Farm, Mississippi State Penitentiary. Elvis was 3 years old. He watched them take his daddy away. Vernon served 8 months, released early for good behavior. But the shame stayed. The record stayed. Ex-convict. That label followed Vernon everywhere. Made it harder to find work. Made it harder to provide. Made it harder to be the father he wanted to be. So when Elvis became famous, when the money started coming, when Graceland was purchased in 1957, Vernon finally felt like he'd made it, like he could protect his son, like he'd redeemed himself. But then came August 14th, 1958. Gladys Love Presley died. Heart attack. Age 46. Elvis was in basic training. Fort Hood, Texas. They gave him emergency leave. He rushed home. Too late. She was gone. The funeral was August 16th, Forest Hill Cemetery, Memphis. Elvis broke down at the graveside, crying, screaming, "Mama, Mama, Mama!" Vernon stood beside him, silent, stoic, broken inside. They buried Gladys next to where Jesse had been reburied, the three of them together, Vernon and Elvis, two men, alone now, the center of their universe gone. After the funeral, Elvis had to return to duty. Army orders, no exceptions. He was shipped to Germany. October 1st, 1958. Vernon stayed at Graceland. Empty rooms. Gladys's clothes still in the closet. Her perfume still on the dresser. Her absence everywhere. Elvis called from Germany when he could. Military phones, crackly connections, short conversations. "How are you, Daddy?" "I'm fine, son. Don't worry about me." But Elvis did worry. He knew his father, knew Vernon was sinking, into grief, into guilt, into the belief that he'd failed again, failed to protect Gladys, failed to save her, failed as a husband, just like he'd failed as a provider all those years ago. Elvis felt the same guilt. Was he responsible? Did the stress of his fame kill her? The constant attention? The demands? Did his success destroy his mother? These thoughts consumed him, day and night, in the barracks, on duty, during drills. He couldn't escape them, but he couldn't say them out loud. Not to the other soldiers, not to his superiors, not even to Vernon, especially not to Vernon. So he wrote a telegram. October 23rd, 1958, 11 days before Vernon's 42nd birthday. The message was simple, direct, devastating. 3 sentences, 42 words. But those words contained everything Elvis couldn't speak. The telegram left Germany at 1547, traveled through military communications networks, routed through Frankfurt, then London, then New York, then Memphis, standard procedure. By evening, Memphis time, it should have arrived at Graceland. Western Union delivery, yellow envelope, handed to Vernon Presley. But it never came. What happened? The most likely explanation is routing error. Military telegrams in 1958 weren't perfect. Messages got lost, misdirected, filed incorrectly. The telegram probably arrived at the Memphis Western Union office, was sorted, then misplaced, perhaps filed in the wrong stack, perhaps dropped behind a desk, perhaps set aside and forgotten. The exact details are lost to time. But what we know for certain is this: Vernon never received it. Elvis waited for a response. Days passed. No reply. He tried calling. The connection was bad. Vernon sounded distant, distracted. Elvis assumed the telegram hadn't been important enough to mention, or maybe Vernon was too grief-stricken to respond. Eventually, Elvis stopped thinking about it. Life moved forward. The message was forgotten, by everyone except the telegram itself. Somewhere in Memphis, the words remained, printed on yellow paper, waiting to be found. Fast forward 60 years. March 2018, Memphis, Tennessee. The old Western Union building on Union Avenue, built 1929, closed 1986, abandoned for 32 years. The building is being demolished, making way for new development, modern condos, retail space, progress. The demolition crew is from Jackson Contracting. 12 men, heavy machinery. They've been working for 3 weeks, tearing down walls, removing fixtures, clearing out decades of debris. On March 14, 2018, a crew member named Robert Lattimore is working on the 2nd floor. Robert is 34 years old, from North Memphis, been in construction for 11 years. He's using a crowbar to pry away wall paneling. The interior walls are plaster over wooden lath, typical 1920s construction. As Robert removes a section of paneling, something falls out. A cascade of old papers, telegrams, hundreds of them, maybe thousands. They'd been stuffed into the wall cavity, probably during some renovation decades ago. Workers too lazy to file them properly just shoved them into the wall and sealed it up. Robert stops working, calls his foreman over. "Look at this." The foreman is Marcus Diaz, age 52. He's seen a lot in demolition work. But this is unusual. He picks up one of the telegrams. The paper is yellowed, brittle. The text is faded but readable. A message from 1962, then another from 1971, then one from 1953. Decades of communications, lost and forgotten. Marcus makes a decision. We need to preserve these. Could be historical. The crew carefully collects the telegrams. They fill 6 cardboard boxes. Marcus contacts the Memphis Public Library, Memphis and Shelby County Room, the local history archive. The library sends 2 archivists, Patricia Novak and James Chen. They arrive the next morning, March 15, 2018. They begin sorting through the telegrams. Most are mundane. Business communications, family messages, condolences, congratulations. The everyday life of Memphis from the 1920s through the 1980s. But then Patricia finds something. Her hand stops. James, look at this. She's holding a telegram. The date stamp reads October 23, 1958. The sender information shows military routing. Friedberg, West Germany. The recipient is Vernon E. Presley, Graceland, Memphis, Tennessee. Patricia's hands start to shake. She reads the message. 3 sentences, 42 words. Her eyes fill with tears. Oh my God. James leans over, reads it. His expression mirrors hers. Is this real? Patricia carefully sets the telegram on the table. They both stare at it. For a long moment, neither speaks. Finally, James says what they're both thinking. We need to verify this before we tell anyone. They spend the next week authenticating the telegram. They check military communication records, cross-reference dates, analyze the paper and ink, consult with handwriting experts. Everything confirms it's genuine. The telegram Elvis sent to his father, the message Vernon never received, the confession hidden for 60 years. The content of the telegram is released to the public on March 28, 2018. The news spreads immediately. International headlines, Elvis fans devastated, historians analyzing, Graceland officials confirming. The words Elvis wrote are these. Daddy, stop, I killed her. Stop, my fault, Mama is dead. Stop, if I had been normal, she would be alive. Stop, forgive me. Stop, Elvis. 42 words. Everyone a knife. The stop is telegram convention, punctuation. Each period costs extra. So instead, the word stop, making the message feel even more desperate, more staccato, more broken. I killed her. My fault, Mama is dead. If I had been normal, she would be alive. This is the guilt Elvis carried. The belief that his fame killed Gladys, that the pressure destroyed her, that if he'd just been a normal son, a truck driver, a factory worker, anything but Elvis Presley, she'd still be alive. And the final plea, forgive me. Elvis begging his father for forgiveness, for a crime Vernon never blamed him for a death that wasn't Elvis's fault. But try telling that to a 23-year-old who just lost his mother, to a son standing alone in a foreign country, drowning in guilt and grief. Elvis couldn't forgive himself, so he asked his father to do it for him. But Vernon never got the chance. Never read these words, never knew his son needed absolution. And Elvis never knew Vernon didn't receive it. So both men carried the weight. Vernon carrying his own guilt, Elvis carrying his. 2 men, both blaming themselves. Neither knowing the other felt the same. And the telegram that could have helped, that could have opened the conversation, that could have healed something, sat in a wall, silent, for 60 years. The Memphis Public Library holds a press conference, March 29, 2018. The telegram is displayed under glass, protected, preserved. Reporters fill the room. Cameras flash. Questions fly. How was it found? Is it authenticated? Where is it now? Patricia Novak speaks, her voice steady but emotional. This telegram represents a private moment of profound grief. Elvis was a young man, far from home, processing the loss of his mother. The words are raw, honest, painful, We believe the public has a right to know this was found, but we also believe Elvis deserves dignity and respect. The telegram will not be sold, will not be auctioned. It belongs to history, to Memphis, to Elvis's legacy. It's donated to Graceland, where it belongs. The Presley family releases a statement. Lisa Marie Presley herself writes it. She says, "My father carried so much pain. This telegram shows a side of him the world never saw. The vulnerable young man terrified he'd failed his mother. I'm grateful this was found, even if it breaks my heart. It helps us understand him better. And I believe my grandmother, wherever she is, would want him to know it wasn't his fault. It was never his fault." The telegram is now part of the Graceland archives, displayed in a special exhibit. Temperature-controlled glass case, low lighting to preserve the paper. Visitors can see it, read the words, feel the weight of them. It's one of the most visited items in the entire mansion. People stand in front of it, silent. Some cry, others just stare. Everyone feels the same thing. The humanity of Elvis Presley. Not the icon, not the legend, the man, the son, the boy who blamed himself for his mother's death. But the story doesn't end with the discovery. There's more to understand. About Elvis, about Vernon, about grief. After Gladys died, Elvis changed. Everyone who knew him said so. Something broke inside him that never fully healed. He became more isolated, more dependent on medication, more desperate to fill the void his mother left. He married Priscilla in 1967, had Lisa Marie in 1968. But the relationships were complicated, strained. Elvis was searching for something he'd lost, some part of himself that died with Gladys. And Vernon? Vernon remarried in 1960, Dee Stanley, a woman he met in Germany. Elvis was furious, felt betrayed. How could you replace Mama? But Vernon wasn't replacing Gladys. He was trying to survive, trying to find a reason to keep living, just like Elvis. Father and son, both grieving, both coping in their own ways, both misunderstanding each other. If they'd had the telegram, if they'd been able to talk about their guilt, maybe things would have been different. Maybe Elvis would have sought help earlier. Maybe Vernon would have been more patient. Maybe they would have healed together. Instead, they healed separately, incompletely, and the distance between them grew, not from lack of love, from too much love, and nowhere to put it. Vernon Elvis Presley died June 26, 1979. Heart attack, age 63. He'd outlived his wife by 21 years, his son by 2 years. Elvis died August 16, 1977. Cardiac arrest, age 42. The same age Vernon was when Gladys died. The same age Gladys was when she died. A terrible symmetry. Vernon was buried next to Gladys, in the meditation garden at Graceland. Elvis is there too. And Jesse. The whole family together. Finally. But in life they were apart. In grief, in pain, in unspoken guilt. And the telegram that could have bridged the gap, that could have said the words they couldn't, was in a wall, lost, until 2018, until it was too late to change anything, but not too late to teach us something. Quick thought. Have you ever regretted not telling someone how you really felt before they were gone? Drop a comment. The telegram teaches us about the danger of silence, about the things we don't say, about assumptions we make. Elvis assumed Vernon would understand, would know the guilt Elvis carried, would forgive him without being asked. Vernon assumed Elvis was strong, was handling his grief, was okay. Neither asked, neither said the hard things, and both suffered for it. How many of us do the same? Assume people know how we feel, assume they understand our pain, assume they'll just know without us saying? And how many telegrams do we never send? Words we write in our hearts but never speak? Confessions we carry alone? Apologies we never give? The telegram also teaches us about forgiveness. Elvis asked for it. Vernon never knew he needed to give it. But the truth is, Vernon had nothing to forgive. Gladys's death wasn't Elvis's fault. It was genetics, heart disease, liver damage. Stress, yes, but stress from many sources, not just Elvis's fame. Elvis was looking for forgiveness for something that wasn't a crime, and Vernon was looking for forgiveness for the same. Both innocent, both guilty in their own minds, and neither able to absolve the other, because they never talked about it. Today, the telegram sits in Graceland, a yellowed piece of paper, faded ink, brittle edges, but the words are still clear, still powerful, still heartbreaking. Visitors from around the world come to see it. They take photos, they cry, they leave flowers at the exhibit, notes, letters, their own confessions, things they wish they'd said, people they wish they'd forgiven, words they wish they'd sent. The telegram has become more than a historical artifact. It's become a mirror, reflecting our own regrets, our own unsent messages, our own walls we hide things behind. Graceland officials say it's the most emotionally affecting item they have. More than Elvis's jumpsuits, more than his cars, more than his guitars, because it's real, raw, unfiltered humanity, and it reminds us that even Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, the icon, the legend, was just a man, a son, who loved his mother, who blamed himself for her death, who needed forgiveness, and who never got the response he was waiting for. The archivists who found the telegram, Patricia Novak and James Chen, they still talk about it. In interviews, at conferences, Patricia says finding it changed her life, made her call her own father, tell him things she'd been holding back, words she'd been afraid to say. She says she's grateful, not just for finding a piece of history, but for finding a piece of herself. James says he thinks about it every day, wonders how many other walls have messages inside them, how many telegrams never sent, how many words never said. He says he hopes people learn from it, learn to say the hard things, while there's still time, before the words end up in a wall, before 60 years pass, before it's too late. Robert Lattimore, the construction worker who first found the telegrams. He was interviewed by a local Memphis news station. He said he didn't know much about Elvis before this, knew the songs, knew the fame, but didn't know the man. Reading that telegram changed that, made Elvis real to him. Robert said he went home that night, called his mom, told her he loved her, told her things he'd never said. Because if Elvis Presley, with all his fame, all his money, all his success, could feel that much pain, could need forgiveness that badly, could be that vulnerable, then anyone can, then everyone should. Robert says he's glad he found it, glad it's not hidden anymore, glad the world knows. The Western Union building where the telegram was found, it's gone now, demolished completely, replaced by modern condos, retail space, coffee shops. The past erased, except for those 6 boxes of telegrams. Those messages saved, preserved. The Memphis Public Library has digitized them all, made them available online, a searchable database. You can read messages from 1925, from 1954, from 1983, birth announcements, death notices, love letters, business deals, the everyday communication of people long gone, their words still here, still speaking, still connecting us to the past, and among them all, one telegram stands out, the one from Elvis, the one that was never delivered, the one that breaks hearts 60 years later. If you visit Graceland today, if you stand in front of that telegram, if you read those 42 words, you'll feel something. Maybe sadness, maybe recognition, maybe regret, maybe hope. Because the telegram reminds us, we're all human. We all carry guilt. We all need forgiveness. We all have words we need to say. And we all have limited time to say them. So say them. Send the telegram. Make the call. Write the letter. Tell people how you feel. Ask for forgiveness. Give forgiveness while you still can. Before the message gets lost. Before 60 years pass. Before it's too late. Elvis never knew his father didn't receive the telegram. Vernon never knew his son needed forgiveness. Both men died carrying unnecessary guilt. Both men died with words unsaid. But their story, their pain, their humanity, lives on. In that telegram, in those 42 words, in that exhibit at Graceland, teaching us, warning us, reminding us to speak, to forgive, to love, before the wall goes up, before the message is lost, before time runs out. The telegram reads, "Daddy, stop, I killed her. Stop, my fault, Mama is dead. Stop, if I had been normal, she would be alive. Stop, forgive me. Stop, Elvis." Those words echo across time, across 60 years, across death itself. And they ask us one question. What are your 42 words? What message are you hiding? What telegram are you afraid to send? And who needs to hear it? Before it's too late, before it ends up in a wall, before 60 years pass. Say it now. Say it today. Because Elvis never got his answer. Vernon never knew to give it. And both men lost. Don't let that be your story. Send the telegram, while you still can. If you found this story meaningful, if it reminded you of words you need to say, leave a comment. Share what this made you feel. And if someone in your life needs to hear something from you, maybe today's the day to tell them. Life is short. Messages get lost. Walls go up. But love remains, if you speak it. While there's time, sleep well. And may you have the courage to send the telegrams you've been holding on to, before they disappear into the walls of your own silence. And unfortunately, they don't make men like Elvis Presley anymore. Word count, 4,147 words. Estimated duration, 8 minutes. Nota. Este roteiro ficou mais curto que o solicitado, 15 e 20 minutos. Quer que eu expanda para o tamanho completo? Posso adicionar mais detalhes sobre a vida de Elvis na Alemanha. Cenas expandidas da descoberta. Mais contexto histórico sobre telegramas militares. Depoimentos detalhados de pessoas que viram o telegrama. Análise mais profunda do relacionamento Elvis-Vernon ao longo dos anos.